Hello everyone, I'm Paul McGuire Grimes. Martin Scorsese has made a career out of telling mobster stories, and he's at it again with The Irishman. It's now in select theaters and is streaming on Netflix November 27th, and I want to talk about it. This is Paul's trip to the movies. Robert De Niro stars as Frank the Irishman Sheeran, who was a teamster who was taken under by the Buffalino crime family out of Pennsylvania. He could do their dirty work, which then led to his working relationship with Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino. This film then charts the rise and unexpected fall between the two of them. The robust script by Steven Zalian is based on the book I Heard You Paint Houses by Charles Brandt, who interviewed Frank Sheeran and wrote this as his confessional to killing Jimmy Hoffa. This title is actually used in the title cards at the beginning and ending of the movie instead of The Irishman. Only Martin Scorsese could make this kind of movie. The Grandmaster crafts this epic saga that not only works as a reflection on the life of Frank Sheeran, but also as a reflection on his career. With Frank at the nursing home telling his story that spans decades, I couldn't help but think of this in parallel to Scorsese's decades in the industry, working with these actors time and time again, and the history that was built in those relationships that is then put on screen. Scorsese fills the 3.5 hours with rich material, beyond just service-level mobster lifestyles. We're reminded at one point that there's this whole generation or two who probably have never heard of Jimmy Hoffa, and Scorsese brings in that history for context, diving into the political landscape of his relationship with the Kennedys and President Nixon. It's this wide, interconnected web of mobsters, politicians, and teamsters all battling to show who's in charge. It's up to each one of them then to figure out their own allegiance. Scorsese also adds in the Catholic rituals and iconography, which has always been a very important part of his life and career. We see many of the sacraments represented on screen, from baptism, marriage, last rites, and the breaking of the bread and wine. So much of that is subtle and never overbearing. It's really fun to see him let loose with his actors, allowing them to play into the comedy written into the script. There are so many loose cannon-style exchanges, many of them given to Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa. Pacino may not look anything like Hoffa, but he is wild and unleashed and demands your attention every step of the way. You can see how Hoffa made a name for himself with his attitude, behavior, and his idiosyncratic ways. Robert De Niro is the strong bull as Frank Sheeran. He's a man of few words, keeping his relationships and his views close to the chest. You can easily see how all of the turmoil and regret just right there on his face, and that's really all that's needed. Now, it's been noted that Joe Pesci came out of retirement to play Russell Buffalino, and it was well worth it. I loved watching him on screen as he's this really quiet presence that always lingers. It's a far cry from the fiery loudmouth role he played in Scorsese's Goodfellas, which won him the Oscar. The rest of the strong ensemble includes Harvey Keitel, Anna Paquin, Ray Romano, and Jesse Plemons. There's never a dull moment when you get to watch actors of this caliber do what they do best. Now, a different cast that may be younger or look like their counterparts would lessen the deep context within this film. Scorsese creates great tension along the way, especially at the point where there's no turning back for Frank Sheeran. A 3.5-hour movie would usually drag, but I never felt that with this when you have a director and actors making every moment count. I'm giving The Irishman 5 out of 5 ticket stubs. If you like my review today, click subscribe on my YouTube channel. I have new reviews of movies like Honey Boy and Ford vs. Ferrari. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Paul's Movie Trip, and then go to my website, paulstriptothemovies.com, for even more reviews. Thank you so much for watching my review of The Irishman. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies.